Now I want to move on a little bit past this issue that I had with code enforcement on the blight matter where they held on to my bond. And I want to move on to, as a result of what they said in court and what they said at the hearing, all the evidence, I had to order transcripts. And of course, I took it right off the transcript. And what I did was I put up a bunch of signs in front of the building. And in fact, it's all the way across the lawn. I think there's something like 21 signs at that property now. And basically, all the signs say is it records what they said in court, what they've accused me of, what the code enforcement law is. So once the signs were up in October 2014, now this is after they got my money, I put the signs up regarding them holding on to my money and regarding what the code enforcement rules of procedure are, and brought it to light with the city. They sent me a notice and told me that I was in violation of another ordinance, a sign ordinance. Well, that's their opinion. And they go back to this rules that can't be over 6 square feet of information. You can't have a sign this big, and it can only be in front of like nursing homes, and that those are things that you have to have. All this sign regulations. And the problem is there's no limit to my freedom of speech. That is protected speech. And of course, they had me kind of scared there, thinking, well, there's nothing, I didn't tell any untruths. They were upset. They were upset because I named names. Chief of police, code enforcement officer, some of their actions that they did, and it's legit. So ended up going to court. And I asked the judge, this is what gets me when you get in front of a judge. You got to know how to handle yourself. I asked the judge, first of all, they tried to dismiss it. They want to dismiss this complaint. I said, no. I have a right to what is called of course, they got a judgment order to dismiss it. And in the court, it says that lawyers can't dismiss this stuff. The judge, it's right on the sign in the court saying that no case can be dismissed without being heard before the judge. Well, he tried to dismiss it, so I went back with what is called a petition for clarification of order. You got to know a little something about the law. And what that means is that any time they dismiss something, I have a right as the accused to have them bring it back in front of the judge, because if the judge signs it, he has a right to tell me what that means. Because if you've done something and there's an order for you not to do it, like a restraining order or something, and what they call a clarification of order, in other words, the judge, because he signed it, he has to explain to you what that means. And so, of course, it wasn't funny. So what I did is I asked for a clarification of order, petition for an addendum, and finally got a date, got it in front of the judge. City attorney comes in there. Well, Your Honor, this has been dismissed. I said, it has nothing to do with it. I want to know where his facts are. Where's his evidence to support his claim? And the judge literally had enough nerve to tell me, Mr. Reisner, you're being smirky. Smirky. Can you believe that? And he said, nothing from nothing is nothing. And I said to him, that has nothing to do with it. All I want is you to clarify where the evidence was to begin with. Well, they wanted me out of that courtroom. Let me just throw this in. I'd already went in and posted a bond for a demand for jury, and petition for demand of jury, because I wanted it before court. I wanted to have my say. I posted the money, cash, and the secretary was a little upset with me, because then they tried to say, well, you don't get a jury. Don't tell me I don't get a jury. I get a jury. Don't try to tell me that. And I got over, of course, somebody bit the judge's ear between the time I left there and got across the hall. Now, how they did it, I don't know. But the judge was already mad at me. And he says, I got ready to leave because I said, well, the case is dismissed, Reisner. Mr. Reisner, I ain't got nothing to say about it. I mean, it's just dismissed. It's, nothing from nothing is nothing. Wanted me out of the courtroom. I got ready to leave, went back to get my coat. He goes, hey, Mr. Reisner, yeah, I want you to go over and I want you to pick up your money that you throwed at the ladies at the window. How did he get all that information within 20 minutes? Not only that, you know what he's doing? It's called witnessing from the bench. He cannot accuse me of something and hear the case itself. That is commonly known as witnessing from the bench. He's accusing me of something, and he's turning around and determining whether it was true. So I make a long story short, you know what I did? I petitioned the prosecutor's office. I said, well, if I threw money at the ladies at the window, somehow harmed the ladies, which, by the way, the judge wouldn't tell me who the ladies were. No names. I said, if I did that, wouldn't they come to you? They wouldn't walk across the hall. They wouldn't send a message across the hall. Wouldn't that be something you'd bring in front of the judge? And, of course, now the prosecutor, well, Mr. Reisner, it amazes me how the judiciary can work the way it works. You got to know what you're doing. You got to know your rights. You got to know, and what it is, now you become a thorn in their flesh. And they don't like it. They don't like you standing up for your rights. And so as that situation is, the case got dismissed. And to make a long story short, the signs were down 577 days until 2016. I put the signs back up, but I avoided. I wrote the inspector a letter and I wrote the city attorney. I said, now, if you don't tell me that I'm violating the law, I'm putting the signs back up. I'll give you 10 days. Well, the signs have been up for 3 years now. And they can't get me to take my signs down. This is all freedom of speech. Nothing on those signs said anything. It was not defaming. Let me just throw this in. I spoke to a friend of mine. He said, Mr. Reisner, the first couple questions was, what did your sign say? I said, it said what they said in court and what the records. He began to laugh. He said, Mr. Reisner, you have a right in this country to say what is pleasant or what's objectionable. I could care less whether they object to it. Why don't they sue me about it? Because they don't have a case. So that's why I just want to bring that out. We'll deal with some of the other issues with the next video. But that's just about the sign. And by the way, the signs are still up. And hopefully we can get some answers on it. We had a couple of issues that we tried to resolve. But until they're resolved, the signs are going to stay. Thank you.